Hello and thank you for tuning into this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. President calls out Black Coat Syndrome, urging the Supreme Court to lead with justice for all. President approves the constitution of the 23rd Law Commission. Union Agriculture Minister launched AgriSURE Fund and Krishi Nivesh portal. Highest corruption complaints against railway employees, Delhi local bodies and PSBs. A CVC report presented. Successful maiden flight of India's first Indigenous combat unmanned aircraft. Let us begin with the very first news. In a recent address, the President brought attention to a significant issue plaguing the Indian judiciary, coining the term Black Coat Syndrome to describe the anxiety and stress experienced by ordinary citizens within court settings. This term, which draws a parallel with white coat hypertension, means phenomenon where people's blood pressure rises in hospital settings. One of the primary reasons for this perception is the high pendency of cases. As of August 31, 2024, there are 82,887 cases pending in the Supreme Court alone, according to the National Judicial Data Grid. This backlog, coupled with delays in resolving serious crimes like rape, has led to a public perception of insensitivity within the judicial system. Frequent adjournments further exacerbate the problem, causing significant mental and financial strain, particularly for those who must travel from rural areas to attend court hearings. The issues are not confined to higher courts. In district-level courts, for instance, only 6.7% of court infrastructure is female-friendly. Here, it is important to note that these courts play a crucial role in shaping public perception of the judiciary. In response to these challenges, several steps have been taken to modernize the judiciary and make justice more accessible. Initiatives like the e-Courts Integrated Mission Mode project and the Tele-Law program are speeding up the digitization of court processes, making them more efficient. Additionally, alternative modes of dispute resolution such as pre-litigation mediation through Lok Adalats are being promoted to reduce the burden on courts. Addressing infrastructure gaps is another priority with schemes like the centrally sponsored scheme for judicial infrastructure. Furthermore, the judiciary is also focusing on reforming laws to reduce pendency. A recent example is the Supreme Court's retrospective application of Section 479 of the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, which makes bail more accessible to first-time offenders, thereby reducing the number of under-trials in prisons. The President also emphasized the importance of institutionalizing a pro bono culture, providing free legal services to those in need through initiatives like the Nyay Bandhu program. This approach not only aims to alleviate the burden on the judiciary, but also ensures that justice is accessible to all, regardless of their financial situation. Moving ahead, the President has given approval for the constitution of the 23rd Law Commission of India, which will operate for a 3-year term for September 1, 2024 to August 31, 2027. This commission has been tasked with the important mandate of reviewing and recommending legal reforms to enhance the Indian legal system. The 23rd Law Commission will be composed of a full-time chairperson, 4 members, and additional ex officio and part-time members who will collectively work on various legal issues. The Commission's terms of reference include the critical task of reviewing and repealing obsolete laws. The Commission will create a standard operating procedure for the periodic review of existing laws to ensure their simplification and relevance to current economic needs. This includes suggesting repeals or amendments where necessary. Addressing law and poverty, the Commission will examine laws that affect the poor and will conduct post-enactment audits of socio-economic legislation to ensure they meet their intended goals. Another key area of focus will be the review of judicial administration, aiming for the economic disposal of cases by eliminating delays and speeding up the clearance of arrears. This will involve simplifying processes and harmonizing the rules of various high courts. The Commission will also examine existing laws in relation to the directive principles of state policy, suggesting reforms to ensure these principles are effectively implemented, thereby achieving the objectives set out in the preamble of the Constitution. Additionally, the Commission will focus on strengthening laws to promote gender equality by strengthening laws through examination and suggesting amendments, and will undertake the revision of central acts to remove any anomalies and inequities. Another significant task will be to examine the impact of globalization on food security and unemployment, recommending measures to protect marginalized sections of society. The Law Commission of India, a non-statutory body constituted by the Ministry of Law and Justice, aims to reform laws to maximize justice and promote good governance under the rule of law. It conducts research and provides recommendations based on the defined terms of reference. The history of the Law Commission dates back to 1834, when it was first constituted under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay by the Governor-General, empowered by the Charter Act of 1833. In our next news, the Union Agriculture Minister recently unveiled two major initiatives aimed at transforming the agricultural sector: the AgriSURE Fund and the Krishi Nivesh Portal. These initiatives are set to provide crucial support to farm sector startups and streamline investments in agriculture. If we talk about the Krishi Nivesh Portal, then it is an integrated, centralized, one-stop portal for all agri-investors to avail benefits from various government schemes. The AgriSURE Fund, officially termed as the Agri Fund for Startups and Rural Enterprises, is a key component of this strategy. Announced in the 2022-23 budget, this fund is being established with a total corpus of Rs 750 crore as a Category 2 Alternative Investment Fund or AIF, designed to offer both equity and debt support to agricultural startups. Talking about AIF, it is any Indian incorporated privately pooled investment vehicle that collects funds from sophisticated investors to invest according to a defined investment policy for its investors. With contributions of Rs 250 crore each from NABARD, the Ministry of Agriculture, and additional funds from private investors and other institutions, the fund is poised to inject much-needed capital into the sector. Managed by NAB Ventures Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD, the AgriSURE Fund is structured into two schemes. Firstly, the FOF scheme that provides funding support to Category 1 and Category 2 alternative investment funds that make onward investment in startups. And the direct scheme that focuses on direct equity investment in early-stage startups. The significance of the AgriSURE Fund cannot be overstated. It aims to drive innovation within agriculture, enhance the value chain of farm produce, and create new rural infrastructure while also generating employment opportunities and supporting the development of IT-based solutions tailored for the agricultural sector. However, despite these promising developments, rural startups continue to face significant challenges. Financial accessibility remains a major barrier as many financial institutions are still reluctant to lend to rural entrepreneurs. The limited availability of banking services in rural areas further exacerbates this issue, making it difficult for startups to secure the capital they need to grow. Additionally, connectivity and logistical constraints pose substantial hurdles, particularly in terms of accessing raw materials and other essential resources. Compounding these challenges is a general lack of technological awareness and limited access of training programs and comprehensive services, which are crucial for the growth and sustainability of these startups.
The Central Vigilance Commission has released its annual report for 2023, shedding light on the state of corruption complaints across various government sectors. Shockingly, the highest number of complaints have been lodged against employees of the railways, Delhi's local bodies, and public sector banks. In 2023, the CVC received a staggering 74,203 complaints of corruption. Of these, 66,373 cases have been addressed, leaving 7,830 still pending. These numbers underscore the ongoing challenges in curbing corruption within the public sector. The Commission's report also highlights its proactive approach through three key pillars of vigilance administration: punitive, preventive, and participative vigilance. Punitive vigilance focuses on swift and decisive action against those guilty of misconduct. This time-bound approach aims to deter potential offenders. On the other hand, preventive vigilance seeks to achieve corruption-free governance proactively by proposing structural remedies to minimize possibility of corrupt practices. Lastly, participative vigilance encourages the active engagement of government officials, civil society, and even educational institutions in the fight against corruption. Initiatives like Vigilance Awareness Week play a crucial role in educating the masses about the perils of corruption. For those unfamiliar, the Central Vigilance Commission is a statutory body established under the CVC Act of 2003, though its roots trace back to 1964 when it was formed on the recommendations of the K. Santhanam Committee on the Prevention of Corruption. In 1998, it was conferred statutory status through an ordinance promulgated by the Union government. It is a 3-member body with appointments made by the President of India on the recommendations of a high-powered committee. The committee consists of the Prime Minister, Union Minister of Home Affairs, and the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha. The roles and functions include supervising vigilance administrations across central ministries, departments, and organizations, conducting preliminary inquiries into complaints referred by Lokpal for officials across various grades, and lastly, overseeing functioning of the Delhi Special Police Establishment in investigating corruption-related offences. In a monumental achievement for India's defence sector, Bengaluru-based firm Flying Wedge Defence and Aerospace has announced the successful maiden flight of the country's first indigenously built unmanned combat aerial vehicle, the FWD-200B. The FWD-200B marks a significant leap in India's journey towards self-reliance in defence technology. As a medium-altitude, long-endurance unmanned combat aerial vehicle, it boasts impressive specifications. With a maximum takeoff weight of 102 kilograms, it can carry a 30-kilogram payload, making it a formidable asset for surveillance missions and precision airstrikes. The FWD-200B operates at a cruise altitude of 12,000 feet, with the capability to reach up to 15,000 feet. It cruises at 152 kilometers per hour, with a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. Its endurance of 7 hours and an operational range of 800 kilometers ensures it can undertake extended missions. Also, its ability to launch from a runway just 300 meters long makes it ideal for short airstrips. The successful launch is a testament to India's growing defence indigenization efforts. Key policies such as the Defence Production and Export Promotion Policy, Make in India, Positive Indigenization List, and innovations for defence excellence have been instrumental in driving such achievements. Partnerships between India's private sector and global original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, along with enhanced FDI limits, have further bolstered the country's defence capabilities. Initiatives like the corporatization of the Ordnance Factory Board and the establishment of defence industrial corridors and the Srijan portal have also played a crucial role in this progress. In related news, the Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by the Union Defence Minister, has recently accorded acceptance of necessity for 10 capital acquisition proposals. DAC is the highest decision-making body on issues regarding policy and capital procurement and is chaired by the Union Defence Minister. 99% of the procurement is from indigenous sources under Buy Indian and Buy Indian indigenously designed, developed and manufactured categories. These include Future Ready Combat Vehicles or FRCVs, Air Defence Fire Control Radars, and Dornier 228 aircraft. FRCV will be a futuristic main battle tank with superior mobility, all-terrain ability, multi-layered protections, precision and lethal fires over and real-time situational awareness. In today's Place in News, we turn our focus to Kenya with its vibrant capital Nairobi. Recently, New Delhi hosted the 3rd edition of the Joint Defence Cooperation Committee meeting between India and Kenya, highlighting the growing ties between the two nations. Kenya, located in eastern Africa, shares its borders with Somalia to the northeast, Ethiopia to the north, South Sudan to the northwest, Uganda to the west, and Tanzania to the south. To the east, it boasts a maritime boundary along the Indian Ocean. Nairobi is not just the political capital, but also a global hub, housing the headquarters of UNEP and UN Habitat. Geographically, Kenya is almost bisected by the equator. It is home to major lakes such as Lake Turkana and Lake Victoria, as well as significant rivers like the Galana, Tana, and Mara. The country is also known for its mountain ranges, including the Aberdare Range and the Mau Escarpment, with Mount Kenya standing tall as its highest point.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. National Test House signed MOU with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency to promote energy efficiency in India. NTH is a premier institution under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Recently, World Bank projected a decline in gross fixed capital formation in Indian economy for financial year 25. GFCF, also called investment, is defined as acquisition of produced assets including purchases of second-hand assets, including production of such assets by producers for their own use, minus disposals. Indian Navy's P-8I Poseidon aircraft is on first-ever deployment in Europe to participate in 2024 edition of Exercise Varun. P-8I Poseidon is a maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft developed and produced by the United States Boeing Defense. DGFT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, authorized the Department of Defense Production to be the licensing authority for export of all items falling under Category 6 of SCOMIT for military end use. SCOMIT is a national export control list of dual-use items, munitions, and nuclear-related items, including software and technology. Vishanu Yuddha Abhyas, a mock drill on pandemic preparedness conducted under National One Health Mission. NOHM emphasizes on the One Health approach, aiming to achieve integrated disease control and pandemic preparedness. Center for Marine Living Resources and Ecology, an attached office of the Union Ministry of Earth Sciences, has developed Ocean Eyes mobile application. It is a community engagement approach to data collection in marine biodiversity monitoring. Recently, the impact of El Niño and La Niña on the Indian monsoon is being studied. Oceanic Niño Index is a vital index to study the dynamics of El Niño's southern oscillation. It is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's primary indicator for monitoring ENSO. Ministry of Labour and Employment initiated move to expand PMAY benefits to marginalized workers. The ministry has urged all state governments to include migrant workers, building workers, BD workers, non-coal mine workers, contract labourers, and other unorganized workers. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solution to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.